like Lunara, things like that, that he can be aggressive on. Now that Tassidar's kind of back into the meta, we'll see.
Game number 2, draft is underway here as we begin things between SPT and Roll20. Roll20 had a bit of a scare there in that game, but they were able to recover well, and now they're looking for those 3 points.
Wonder if any team will be running D.Va. She's the newest hero. Oh, Zagara ban. No chance of that. D.Va can almost single-handedly blow up the Zerg wave. If you take the level 7 talent for extra damage, you get a 7-second timer on 150% damage of the explosion.
That also guarantees you like 8 solid seconds on the beacon to make sure you cap that. The boss is a very contested point, which can do well with area control. Right. Robbie has made a fantastic point here.
Now, mind you, she's not a good solo laner, except against some characters. I think she does well against certain ones, but it's kind of situational. You can't take her early. But in a 4-man rotation, she is very good here. She can push people off the beacon. She can stand there and zone with defensive matrix. I think, honestly, I think she's top pick. First or second rotation pick. But I don't know if the team's prepared or practice it. This is literally the first practice of the tournament, so let's just see how it goes.
It is.
One of the cool things I love about Genji on this map, cyber agility plus his E, it's real quick rotations to go from top to bottom or bottom to top.
Yeah. That's like less than 5 seconds to go from one beacon to another.
Hop over the other.
Now this is a Chinese style. We see we saw a reasonable amount over the Gold League of them picking Morales first pick. Mostly it was some of the low-level teams, but we did see it for some of the upper-level teams. It is mostly just for solo lane potential. It allows you to get a really good solo laner carry, which you can just dominate with on this map. You're very close to globes, which means you get a lot of mana regen. You can take the infinite mana, and it's quite hard to gank if you play it safe in the bot lane, which is what we see quite often.
You take Morales, you're up against Genji, he dives backlines well. You can still be against Chromie, Stitches, all kinds of picks which can take her apart quite a bit. I find this an interesting prioritization, but I'm very keen to see how it pans out, Tetcher. It sounds like this is definitely a bit of a Chinese special concoction.
It is a well-practiced comp, and this is the issue where a lot of the times you will see teams going with the Mocus Ferralis style, but unable to really get to her because usually Morales will be paired with either a second support or she will just be very well protected by the front line in a way that forces the enemy team to dive into the backline and overextend. And with a hero like a Nubrak already on their side, that makes it difficult. But some of the heroes you mentioned there, Chromie, for example, can put that in a little bit of danger.
I think one of the interesting things that Genji does for teams is that Ariel tends to see high priority on this because she has no mana, therefore no need to hearth in a lot of situations. But with Genji, because he's not necessarily in that group situation, he's normally trying to flank, it kind of forces you to go a different support route. Malfurion is great because he has the innervate, he can support his teammates, plus he has a pretty healthy mana pool, mana regen with the cooldowns and everything. So I think that works really well. Plus you have the roots control if you can try and get some follow-up there.
And then you mentioned in mana, I didn't allude to it earlier, but Morales is one of the few heroes who basically has infinite sustain.
At level 16.
At level 16, she has an infinite mana build where she gains more mana than she loses with her abilities via shield sequencer and the feedback loop.
Actually, Murden has it as well with
he does,
Perfect
with
Storm.
Crowd Control.
Oh, Crowd Control? Oh, yeah.
Because that's the one that gives mana.
Yeah, and Perfect Storm. And oh, no, he no longer has Infused Hammer.
Gul'dan does.
Oh, Gul'dan, yeah.
Yeah. So there's 2 heroes that we know of that use mana and have infinite sustain.
Most games are won by level 16 on Praxis. Like you're early, like until level 10 it's very impactful.
Is this one of the only maps right now where, as much as a lot of us fallen off for Ragnaros, actually a Ragnaros ban isn't too bad because of Molten Core, etc.?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not bad, but now that you see Leoric, it doesn't seem viable for SPT. And then on the side of Roll20, Ragnaros into a Leoric, oh yeah, he got banned, but that wouldn't have been too great. I think the door's definitely open for Sonya. Now that Dahaka and Ragnaros are both down, Sonya being one of the better heroes to deal with in that solo lane.
Oh my god.
Like I said, immensely heavy front line
ready for
to protect the Morales. Zarya for extra shielding. It is all about picking one hyper carry and then having an immensely difficult front line to deal with.
It could be Hammer, it could be Zul'jin, it could be James Jimmy McRainer.
Doubt it.
I also want to point out...
They have played one game of Raider.
Yeah, I know.
You know, there's a few people at home, they're
So
like tap dancing with excitement. They're like, Genji, I got this crazy trick. You've never seen it before. You can level 7 Genji solo the boss. Yeah, it's true. You can do the boss really fast on this map. The deflect against the hyper fast attack speed of the boss. It might be a thing.
Isn't that level 20 though?
No, you can do it at level 7. You don't even need the percentage return.
Oh, okay.
It's just a tiny amount.
Just throwing one, what was it? He throws one haiku for every hit he gets on deflect.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, he's just spinning poetry.
I love the Goldan pickup.
Yeah.
I was terrible. They've run Chromie in the past, but with Chromie Genji, you lack significant wave clear. I love the Goldan pickup, especially with this composition. Arthas. Now, this brings up, is Arthas going to be that solo laner with the Genji rotating between to try and get those kills to get that lockdown, or will it be Murd? And Arthas seems like the likely choice.
It's a good question. Against Leo, Arthas is pretty bad.
Yeah, he has zero
I think it's
way to
going
get
to
out.
be Genji, actually.
I think Genji will 100% be the I'm rotating lanes looking for picks.
Then it should be Murat top, maybe. It's kind of hard to say, like... it could be Arthas. You might be right.
Arthas has the better clear in general, but as you said, he does not do well into Leoric, so long as Leoric lands his Drain Hope.
Now, SPT, do you have drums, Jayhow? Can you start a drum roll?
For the Zul'jin. You ready for it? I'm telling you, this is a very high possibility that this is Zul'jin here.
Oh,
I'm so disappointed.
Still an incredibly good assassin to pick as your solo damage dealer, basically, in this lineup. So overall, pretty happy with it. It's not on the excitement level of something like a Sergeant Hammer or something like a Zul'jin, except for Beg for Mercy on Reddit. He's the only person who this is way more an excitement for. But overall,
he
it's probably the safest pick.
He expects Lunara on every pick.
He does, that's true. Especially in quick match.
But the thing is this like Stim or Medivac? Like map control Medivac or...
I think Medivac.
Medivac is safer for the Morales. It's basically a slower mobile ice block, so it's always safe. But Stim during Lunara is very scary, especially with the Splintered Spear talent.
Give her the protection from everybody else. Let her just go ham and do what she needs to do. But looking at the drafts, guys, Jayhow, what are you thinking this?
The Goldan pickup, single best wave clear for Zerg wave in the game. There's without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
The Genji rotation, I think, is going to be what is the ultimate deciding factor for this game. I just don't see it played any other way. That's going to be Glaurung. He's going to be looking for kills. He's going to be looking for them early. He's going to be looking to expose Morales. We'll see if he can pull it off.
Predictions?
I agree with everything Jayhow said, but this is about as traditional a Chinese draft on this map as it can get. So I'm gonna lean towards Super Perfect Team for this one. I think they could bring it out.
I think that Roll20 might struggle a little bit early, but I think that the Goldan will be enough to hold them. So my pick is going to be Roll20 again.
I'm afraid that Roll20 will run into mana issues, and additionally, on this map you need to win either the 1-on-1 or the 4-on-4, and I'm not sure that Roll20 has either one. The only way they're going to be able to leverage a win here is if Genji wins a 2-on-1 on top or something, and I think SPT is just going to be a little bit too experienced for that. I like what they're running here. It's a bit weird, but I'll go with SPT for this one.
All right, well, thank you very much, gents. We can check in with chat, see what they think about this series to come, or even this game to come, I suppose. Still sticking with Roll20. And make sure to continue tweeting all of us with the hashtag HGC. And if you want to get involved especially further, you can copy what Grubby did, draw pictures of your favorite members of our group in Paint, and send them to us as well. For now, we are going to head over to the casting team as we bring you game number 2 of the series.
Game 2 between SPT and Roll20, and SPT desperately needs this win, Dread.
Yeah, they are going to need this if they are going to have, you know, even a life, really, beyond the group stage here at the Mid-Season Brawl. But speaking of, in the blue is SPT, ZTH on the Morales, excuse me, Melody C on Anubarak, Simba playing Leoric, Wings on Zarya, and Chen Xiao on Lunara.
Meanwhile, Roll20, winners of game number 1 in the series. Glaurung will be playing Genji, Jesting on Muradin, Buds playing Malfurion, Gul'dan played by Prismaticism, and Yoda playing Arthas. What do you make of this draft? We saw, like the panel was talking about, a lot of picks that are standard in China for Braxis, but there are also picks that Roll20 should be somewhat familiar with on Braxis, things like Zarya, Lieutenant Morales.
Yeah, North America has kind of a Chinese approach to this map overall, so Roll20 should be comfortable playing against what SPT has displayed. But SPT did so many beautiful things into the draft to be able to deny great solos and comfort picks of Roll20 that I'm feeling like Roll20 is going to have to find a laning answer here. Much like Grubby said, the 1-4 is not looking good for Roll20. But we also have to note, because North America has kind of taken this new approach, they also play the lanes differently than most regions.
Yeah, that they do. And we know that SPT has a very strong four-man. You can already see it here starting to drain ammo, having Zarya there, Lieutenant Morales to be able to heal up any damage taken. And it's going to take a while for Prismaticism to build up his damage as he's going into the Fel Flame build. Although, as long as people are hanging out by the towers, he should get those stacks rather quickly. But North America, especially with the influence of Gale Force Esports, has started to approach this battleground differently in the laning phase.
And a lot of it has to do with the Murden pickup and backdooring onto the Shrines. Good Dwarf toss out. Right now, the pressure of SPT in the four-man, exactly what we expect. Very, very, very dominant. But yeah, it's a lot of rotating and kind of backdooring the altars with high mobility heroes, like conveniently the Murden and the Genji. And so I expect them to kind of play ring around the rosy. The question is, does SPT make too much happen in the lanings like we see up on bottom for Roll20 to ever be able to make that comeback?
Yeah, the idea would be that you send somebody to steal it away, and that pulls the four-man back constantly enough that you don't lose out as hard as you would otherwise. And yes, Roll20 have Murden and Genji, but as we saw yesterday, Murden is new to Roll20 specifically. They had not been playing him except one time in all of Phase 1 for HGC. So clearly they feel like this is a new addition for them. We'll see if it goes better for them here than it did yesterday.
One thing I do want to know when it comes to builds on the side of SPT, mainly with looking at the Zarya at level 1. She moved into Demolition's Expert. That does a lot in your four-man when it comes to the poke, but they already had such a good four-man. Oh, Prismac caught out. SPT gets the first kill. But see Wings right now. He's sieging. This is exactly what I want to talk about. I feel like their four-man, if we had seen Feel the Heat, this keep or fort would be dead half a minute ago. He has no siege damage, only poke now, and it's such a big loss in the early game for SPT, and I really hope that's not something that comes back to bite them as we see fights later into the 10 and 13 levels.
Does it feel to you like maybe it's just more of a focus on being able to get kills, the skirmishes, the fighting, which we know that Chinese teams like to do?
I think a lot of it was more of assuming that Roll20 was going to flat match them, and they felt like that was going to be the level up to be able to further their four-man. But I personally feel that just the trade-off of siege and early front wall pressure that Zarya promotes, because not only does she hit like a truck, she hits multiple things all at the same time. She's taking out your sidewall, your turret, and your gate while she's just auto-attacking full energy. She's like, what's up, boys? Come attack me.
You guys, I'm so sad that you couldn't see this, but Dread actually did a full-on Zarya impression while talking about that. We'll see if maybe I can get a picture of that later on. So far, though, Roll20 are doing pretty admirably versus SPT. They're trying to do the backdooring just like we talked about. And in the top lane, they're trying to keep on the same kind of damage on the structures about halfway down in the fort.
And look, you see exactly what we saw in North America and why this has taken over in North America. We don't run 1-4s anymore, is because this, if your solo is not extremely dominant, if you have a really high mobile hero like that Genji, suddenly you force a 2-1 and lean into the Leoric, not let him win his lane heavily, and then you backdoor these altars between the Genji, between the Murden. And though, yes, SPT has control into this game, Roll20 is somehow winning into the Zerg Rush. This is what they expected, and I can't tell whether or not that gives Roll20 a huge advantage or not, because they're giving up a lot of structures.
Yeah, it's just going to depend on how fast they can get that beacon to alleviate SPT and what they have done so far. It kind of makes me wonder even if we'll see double jump at 13 for Genji, but of course pairing Schengen is so good with Shuriken Mastery too for the damage for them.
Yeah, it is a huge talent spike. Now we see Justin backdooring once more onto these altars. He's going to capture, forcing the burrow over to Melody C, who's hoping to get that before the 50% mark, but it's only converted back. Conveniently, in the southern lane, we also see the 3-2 matchup once more. So though, again, SPT is winning this laning phase when it comes to the pressure onto the map, Roll20 is winning so hard in Zerg and not losing and doing so well into the fort pressure as well, that Roll20's winning this. Even though it looks sloppy, this is really, again, what they expected and what they wanted to do in this match.
It does feel, though, like it has to be a no mistakes type of situation. They cannot ever lose the beacons. It has to be basically 100-0 or as close to as they can get.
Straight up, I completely agree with you. It's like Roll20 sitting at the bottom of the mountain and you're just waiting for SPT to yell and start the avalanche. Like, they'll just snowball all over Roll20 if they make one moment and collapse with the rotations, with the pressure. But for now, they have kept it up. They are doing what they needed to do into this game. It's just, if they can, they never let go.
Level 7 to level 7, no kills really now that the 3-man of Roll20 is being more passive, just allowing Muradin to backdoor and force Melody C to sit on this point, limiting the dive capabilities of SPT underneath. But Prismaticism has taken some damage, gets hit. Justin swoops in to help out.
He swoops in to help out, but Genji managed to steal a camp to help Arthas with the pressure on bottom. Now we see the cycle to where Genji rotates back up, now giving consideration to SPT's top lane. It's just, we're going to see this over and over again until SPT takes the top 4 and decides, okay, let's team fight, or they end up giving up these altars to Roll20.
Yeah, the water is building up, and we're just waiting for the dam to break at this point.
That's pretty much it. That's a good way to display this game, because it is very much going to cycle out. It does, why the forts are relevant to that, you know, for the dam metaphor, breaking the dam, is because the distance of safety onto the map and the control of vision that SPT should be able to gain due to poor wave clear outside of only the, Gul'dan there. But it looks like the fight is going to start here over the top shrine. Arthas is still up on bottom for his 1v1.
Yeah, the thing that's starting to scare me for Roll20 specifically is that this is stopped. They have
Simba
not gotten any more beacon progress. They can kill Simba, but they still can't get that top.
He can't, oh, he missed the W. He's dead for sure. Oh, that's so painful. The reflect damage. Simba down. That is now another kill, or the first kill here for Roll20, and that's going to be a huge breathing room to, you know, to do what they do best. Already, immediately, Genji rotates right on up. He'll be able to try and get this back door. Expect the members of Roll20 to also try and apply pressure here.
Yeah.
Wow, they are not gonna.
Well, Roll20 are just about to get 10, so maybe they're looking to try to get a huge fight as soon as they do, but they're keeping Arthas in the bottom lane so they can soak that. They don't have the global of Dahaka this time around. Heroic abilities are here. What do we have for Arthas? Surely Army of the Dead.
I want Syndra, boys. If Roll20 is going to end this game, I feel like it's going to be in the earlier parts.
Okay.
A lot of their composition is going to, and really they can open up the map very quickly. But their team fight is going to be significant. I don't know. Either way, it's not very Roll20-esque, and the build doesn't kind of show that it would be a Syndragosa, but it's being held here. Both that and Muradin's heroic. Simba gets the pressure once more from the highly mobile Glorong.
Is this Noblesque game? Are we going to take a page out of Noblesque handbook? There's Syndra.
Hello?
I think he's just going to hold it until he either dies.
Ava. Here comes the Syndragosa. Genji doing so much damage with the Dragon Blade. Simba giving the first reset. He's hacking. He's slashing. Look at Glorong ripping through, but thank you for the leaping strike, getting him out. ZZH tries to find his own escape, but it conveniently just doesn't have the HP bar, really.
That car had no gas. It was going nowhere fast. SPT lose 3 and 100% Zerg Rush barreling down. Simba gets caught by Ruth, but has Wraith Block to just nope on out of that one.
Yeah, he's going to survive for now, but Roll20 has found themselves a lot of siege here thanks to the rotations that they managed to make happen and this Zerg Rush. It looks like they're done with the key front wall. That is all they ended up wanting here. SPT looks to be aggressing. Qian Xiao, he gets the slow, dash out, there goes a new Barak, they get the leaping strike, he overextends, but he dodges the damage, the huge entomb with the knock of the expulsion zone, and oh my goodness, Roll20 just got rolled over!
Holy moly! We had the trampoline in effect with the expulsion zone and the entomb. SPT coming back in this game, save their keeps, and get a ton of kills. Let's look at that one again.
Just love that Qian Xiao set up that fight. If he was not that offensive into the front line, dancing around, that was no opportunity for SPT. And then the Entomb expulsion zone. We've seen it time and time again. The thing chunks people. You just cannot move your hero. It's a hands off the keyboard moment.
We know you love to see those, just not playing.
As long as I'm not on that team. I like to be on the other side. It feels so good. So very good here. Either way, now we find ourselves with Roll20. Yes, they did win that Zerg rush. Yes, you know, it's been looking good for them the past couple of minutes. You know, the plans worked out, but the map's looking near dead even. Experience is close enough that I don't feel like Roll20 can do what they did for the first 10 minutes. That dance, that only exists for the first phase. We've got the map open now, and suddenly SPT can really look to climb back.
Yes, and the difference between the composition that we see here from Roll20 and what enabled Gale Force to continue it into the late game was split push.
They had mobile, they had Zagara, they had globals. But conveniently, Genji, he's not a global, but he moves so fast and so far that I'm going to put him in the pseudo department, at least for this game, because knowing their goal as a composition, it's not walking into those guys. Glorung, he identified, that's not where I belong here. He's going to get the dash out, and Roll20 still a slight advantage. Nice body blocks onto Simba, should force the Wraith walk, and he's going to go down here. But on top, looks like Prismat shares the same fate.
Castillo's horrified, but Shinchao just dives right on over that. Melody C comes in, deletes Gul'dan, and they've got another inside this cocoon.
They have another inside the cocoon, and will be able to get this pick off. But the most important thing here is this, during this time, the time being bought, at Roll20's trying to get their pressure down at the bottom. Even Bud's dropping a Twilight Dream. No way he makes it out of this.
No, but they've kept SPT here for so long now. Because of that, the first keep of the game goes down.
And now suddenly the exact thing we were talking about, though Roll20 doesn't have the globals, the things that Gale Force Esports, the team that made this type of strategy popular in North America, they don't need it because they have continuous pressure through one lane. It will essentially act as that global that they need to, at least when it comes to control. When the vision, now they need to make sure the rotations are clean. But talking about clean rotation, the medevac dropship is sailing.
Double Howling Blast into Dragonblade, and Wings and Shinchao are getting pretty darn low in health. But now with ZZH in a better position to be able to back these two up. Glaurung's getting fairly low. They're trying to take out a new Barak, but Genji is out.
The cocoon is there. Justin, can he make it out? Dwarf Toss is now going to be used, but we find a Gul'dan with low HP. See, Nerd cleanses there? No way! Oh man, he ends up getting the pick. Leoric the entire time, by the way. Simba has just sat down on bottom, looking to get the clear, looking to try and make sure his team remains up in experience. So this is everything going right for SPT in the later parts of the match. While we were complimenting that keep, if Roll20 keeps overextending and getting caught in these long chasing fights, they could lose this.
Yeah, and that goes back to a huge point that you made earlier on. Losing the forts changed how Roll20 had to play this out. There was no longer that safety right next to the beacons. Losing two like that now gives SPT a big advantage in the Zerg rush. They're trying just to keep everyone out. Expulsion zone separates Yoda from the rest of the family.
Syndragosa goes down, but it only hits Wings if even. He is going to be just fine. Twilight Dream goes. Zarya falling so low. ZGH not having the heals. Now Justin once more. Misses the Stormbolt. Chen Xiao dancing around, getting the slow. They might have Justin here. He may have overextended.
I'm loving Chen Xiao's play on Lunara, juking and jiving everywhere, but Justin Dwarf tosses away in time, and the Zerg rush has begun.
The Zerg rush marching down. Glorung trying to retreat. The cooldowns here are going to be in favor of Chen Xiao, forcing the Dragon Blade just to try and gain distance. He gets the dash, but I don't know if he has the heals, conveniently dashing right into Buds. But look at Prismaticism, the member who went to go save him. The communication there must have been non-existent. Glorung should be saying, I'm safe, do not save me. And now Prismat, the best clearer to the Zerg rush, isn't even there.
Roll20 clearly feeling the stress that SPT has put on them in game number 2. But remember, Roll20 were also down in game 1, and Roll20 still have the keep advantage. In the bottom lane, they holding this out until Gul'dan gets back?
They are. They're trying to hold it out.
Making sure that there's no free boss.
Yeah, essentially what that strategy is for Roll20 is the objectives don't spawn as long as the Zerg rush is up. So if you can't fight over the boss, then why would you make the boss spawn? Yeah, it's basic math in your head when you see that, but your first thought is get rid of this creepy thing killing my structure. So patience here from Roll20, understanding the circumstances, just small things, again, that add up here at the competitive level.
Roll20 starting to get a mercenary camp for this bottom lane. That's crucial to their plans.
No 16s here available for Roll20. They do get the camp, but immediately walk away. Smart decision there. I thought for sure we would see a cocoon, Entomb, some form of hard initiation, but SPT, they remain patient.
And maybe the concern there is that, yes, they have things like Expulsion Zone, but Roll20 also has things like Syndragosa, Horrify, and they are far closer to Roll20's side of the base than they are to their own. Still, Roll20 now just about to get 16, hoping they can get a fight with it. They go in as soon as they hit that talent tier.
They go for the initiation. Look at CCH, so much damage with that Fear. Gloron just bodying them. Another reset available for him. Simba is on the retreat. Chen Xiao as well. That was an explosive fight here for Roll20 and one that they needed. Now, Genji boss play, we know what happens there. This should be an easy pickup for Roll20.
Talk about a wombo combo. You put all those heroics, Horrify, Syndragosa, Twilight Dream, and then Genji just to clean up with the Dragon Blade. There's just about nothing SPT could even do to try to get out of that. Free boss now for Roll20 as they get set up to put more damage back toward the base of SPT and get set up for the next beacon phase.
And it's going to be moving to the least damaged lane. That is the logic here of the bosses on Brax's holdout. So now that's going to allow Roll20 to keep, you know, moving into the lane where there is no catapult pressure already. It just lines up to, again, paint the map red and make it to where SPT is just choked out of this next Zerg Rush phase, which is now come online.
Yeah, and they can leave Genji to go get the bottom one since he has the mobility to quickly rotate back up. Remember that a lot of the heroic abilities aren't available for Roll20, so they need to stay safe until they get those back. They have some long cooldown heroics. Root's good.
Look at Gong's going to backdoor a keep. He has double pressure. He's just going to go for it, at least the keep from wall. He's like, I have so much mobility, none of you can actually kill me. And the rest of Roll20 is just sitting there waiting.
They're waiting for them to leave.
You answer to us is what Roll20 is saying, but now Justing may be caught out. It forces a root and a pre-cleanse coming out of Buds. Gloron still just waiting. Who is going to answer my call? And it will not be fast enough to not lose this keep. So another keep available for Roll20 purely off of decision-making and dangling bait in front of the faces of SPT.
Amazingly well done by Roll20, and now SPT knows it's time to go right now. They're trying to get for a fight. Expulsion Zone, but Ice Block on it. They've got Syndragosa there. Buds comes out with the Twilight Dream.
Buds coming out with the Twilight Dream. The Medevac dropship just moving up forward. My goodness, but look at Glorong. He's on the core. 97%. He's trying to end the game here, but he's so low, he has no health, so he can't win the game. 80 and ticking, but it's not going to matter. The fight is really the crucial thing here.
But the beacon was stopped.
The minions on top, he won. He won. The minions on top, as long as they don't back, that is going to be game.
Roll20 played this out so well, keeping all the members of SPT there. Justin still hanging out, stopping bosses, or stopping backing.
As long as they lock in the core, I think this is going to be it. 19-6-0. SPT ends up falling, backdooring the core, and that is it. Roll20 taking the series 2-0.
They better be thanking Gale Force again for that style.
Gale Force, feel like Gale Force, thank you for studying China and learning Brax's holdout and some of the playstyle there, bringing it to North America, beating us with it, and then teaching us how to play it. So we, in fact, have a shot here at the MSB, and it was done very, very well on the side of Roll20.
But man, SPT keeps powering up every single time. I'm sure Roll20 is happy that they didn't play them at their full power level because each series that SPT plays, they get scarier and scarier. What a crazy game. Analysts, what'd you guys think of it?
Crazy indeed, to say the least, as 2-0 for Roll20 moving on forwards. And overall, that was a bit of an interesting game there on Brax's holdout.
Yes, it was. Super Perfect Team looking like they were coming back at the end. And we're in a position at the Asis where we can actually hear the players.
Yes.
And we hear Glaurog shouting, "Don't fight, wait for them to send two people back." And they just end up fighting anyway, because Super Perfect Team hard engages. And Glaurog just changes his mind, just like, wait for me, never mind, just goes to the core and just wins the game.
I felt like Super Perfect Team there was like a family of 5 who go on vacation and they just have this nagging voice in their head and they're just thinking, did we turn off the heating? And then they come back from vacation and they see there's snow everywhere, but around their house, there's this big circle of no snow. And they're like, we did not turn off the heating. And that was Genji there going on the core. Just incredible. We saw that life bar on the core just dropping. That game, it was incredibly entertaining. It was very smart play by both teams. Different drafts, showing great draft mastery by both teams. But it wasn't a beautiful game. It was beautiful in the sense that like it was very smart. There were a lot of cool moves, but there were a lot of mistakes too. It was sloppy, but in the end, out of that chaos, Roll20 emerged victorious.
Quite scrappy back and forth. SPT was able to, in that last game, find Gul'dan quite a few times actually in some positions. But overall, SPT obviously didn't take that position.
I said it as soon as the Genji pick started, first pick. I said it at the end of the draft that it would 100% rely on Genji play and Glaurung and making that play. And I think that he pulled off exactly what he wanted to do, what they should have done. And in the end, I mean, he does more than expected. And I think that shows a lot about his shot calling, his knowledge of the game, and understanding that map in general. So huge shout out to their team, but major shout out to Glaurung for the way that they played that and the manner in which he played it. I think that has to be noted the most.
Well, Grubby, I'm hoping at least your artistic skills haven't taken on a second iteration, but let's check in with the replay.
Well, there were a lot of cool moments here, but I mean, I would like to watch this game several times more. This, if we just pause it for a second and we just roll it back a little bit, look at the hero level. It is very comfortable to wait till level 16 to do anything at all in the game. But at level 15.9, we see this large convergence of the team here of Roll20 esports, and they're moving in here. And look at this positioning. Never do you want to be the support that's closest to a hidden area. So still, very nice play. Justin, he gets ready. And look at the distance. This is about range 12 or so. Bigger range than anyone can auto-attack in. And yet, Justin moves in right away. As we play this forward, he lands the Stormbolt. He jumps in. Level 16 is reached. Pause for a second here. Level 16 is reached. Look at this. Genji immediately picks his talent. You know what that shows? Comfort on your character. This shows, yeah, I've played this character hundreds of times. Look at Muradin. He picks very fast as well. Justin, look at, okay, we play it forward slowly. He picks Executioner. And he knows he's got that crowd control. He's got that slow, so he gets given the axe. He's getting massive damage there on the Morales. And the beautiful Syndragoza comes in, they get that kill, and suddenly it is complete chaos and mayhem. This is a big step in the right direction, but it would be too much to say that it was just this fight that got Roll20 going, but this was definitely a big move here as well, as this gives 2 kills, it gives them the boss, and then, yeah, the rest is history.
Well, we are joined by Glaurung.
Yo, how's it going, guys?
Not too bad, not too bad. Congratulations on your 2-0 victory. Talk us through the last game, because it was back and forth. There was some scrappiness here, scrappiness there, and then with an interesting finish, to say the least.
So, Braxis is a map we actually have not been putting too much emphasis on lately, so I was pretty nervous going into the game. Since our boot camp, I think in most regions, Braxis is not a super favorable map, so you don't get to practice on it as much as you do on the other maps, for example, like Infernal Shrines for us. But so we weren't super comfortable on the map going into it, but we have a couple strategies on the map that we've practiced for a long time now. We just decided to go with like a 3-2 split where the 2-lane pressure is roughly equivalent to the 4-lane, but the difference is with the 3-2 split, you generally draft a stronger team fighting composition. Like, for example, they had Zarya Medic, which isn't necessarily the strongest in team fights, whereas we were able to go with the Arthas, Muradin, Genji, which isn't necessarily the same map pressure. But because we're able to trade for the entire duration of the early game, we can make it to level 10 relatively even, and from there, as long as we play clean, we should be able to win.
Boys?
Well, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, I learned so much just watching that draft. That draft looked very strange to me on Braxis Holdout. Everything that I know, it was just completely wrong from both sides, in fact, because I think their draft was pretty cool too. Solo damage Lunara, kind of. It worked a lot better than I thought, because I thought you guys were going to have more beacon control, but suffer more siege damage. But actually, they also took the early beacon control. Did you feel like this is still okay?
So the way the 3-2 split ends up working most of the time is, and that's why Muradin is so strong, he can mess with them on the point, get away, use third wind to heal back up, and he's back on the point, attracting them away from the wall. And then Genji, he also rotates so fast that you're, no matter what, going to be able to control one of the beacons at any point in the game, just to stall out the game so that you're even in XP once you hit level 10. And yeah, so also in the draft, they were showing the medic early on the 1-2. We knew that they were going to go into this sort of like Zarya hard siege comp, and that's why in the draft we put a heavy emphasis on denying like targets that are good with Zarya and Medic, like Gul'dan, Vala. I actually sort of thought they might go Zul'jin, but they didn't.
We thought so too. We had the drums ready already.
Yeah, I was like a little bit worried of that pick, but honestly, like they drafted a comp that is hard to execute, but really strong. But I think we just have played against it a lot, so we were able to counter draft fairly effectively, I think.
Yeah. A lot of times you've said to us, you said you don't know how good your team can be. Compare your BlizzCon experience where you had a completely different team and you made it into the bracket group, the main event stage, essentially. Yeah. Compare that team versus your confidence with this team now.
My experience on Denial, I love the guys to death, but it was a really hard team for me to mesh with, I think. I think we struggled a lot. We didn't have the same motivation and drive, and our overall atmosphere wasn't amazing. So I think what separates my current team versus the team at BlizzCon and why I think we're going to do well at this tournament is we're all like friends. There's a lot of trust, and when mistakes are made, everyone is willing to listen and try and learn from those mistakes without getting too upset.
Well, you have bagged yourself 7 points so far. So congratulations, Glaurung, for that victory, as say, moving on. We are now going to take a look at the groups here as we move forwards here for the mid-season brawl.